Hello, and welcome back to Bumblebee. I'm your host, Teresa, and today we're counting down the top 10 scariest places explorers have gone missing. Number 10 is Mount Everest. It's number 10 because of how well known it is, and obviously, it comes as no surprise that it'd even be on this list. Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth, and its climate is one of immense cold and atmospheric pressure changes. This creates what's called the death zone on the uppermost point of the mountain, where oxygen pressure is no longer sufficient to humans. This is around the 26,000 foot point of the mountain. But yet, the challenge and prowess of the climb have drawn mountaineers for centuries. The first recorded deaths are believed to be in 1717, but if we're being realistic, this mountain has probably been a long-term boneyard of adventurers and wanderers alike through history. There is a reported 310 deaths in record, attributed to avalanches, falls, serac collapse, exposure, frostbite, or just health problems related to the conditions on the mountains. Not all bodies have been located, however, so details on those deaths are not always available. There are multiple expeditions that are large groups that have sadly met their ends on Everest. Number 9 is Gold Rush. The Lost Dutchman's gold mine has long since been a focal point of folklore, but for the driven explorer, this gold mine could be anything but a story. According to its legend, in the 19th century, a German man discovered a large gold mine in the Superstition Mountains. It's not until he's on his deathbed in 1981 that he told anyone what he'd found and how he'd been able to live so prosperously for most of his life. And in his weakened state, he drew a very vague map to the supposed money lode. In September of 1982, the Arizona Enterprise went in search of the mine but were never able to locate it. The map and copies were sold eventually for only $7 a piece, and now it's anyone's game. There are several fascinating versions of the legend of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine that have been put forth, and the above story is the most popular version of them all. Multiple people since have lost their lives trying to find this gold mine. In 1934, Adam Stewart died of unknown causes, and in December of 1936, another life was claimed by the mountain when hobbyist Roman O'Hall died from the fall while searching for the Lost Dutchman gold. Number 8 is first of many triangles to come in this video. It's the Bennington Triangle. This triangle is on land and located in the southwestern area of Vermont. This spot is known for its notorious vanishings and cold cases. From 1945 to 1950, 5 people have vanished in this area, essentially one for every year. See, you could pass it off as a serial, but people who vanished range extremely in their ages, ethnicity, and gender. From an to a 74-year-old woman. There's not enough for it to be a preferential serial, that's for sure, but there's still no evidence. So, what could it be? To this day, there's no definite explanation for why those who go exploring or traveling through this region go missing, and no evidence to point authorities as to how, why, or where they even went. Number 7 means putting on the parka, because we're gonna go see Santa Claus in Antarctica. It's the edge of the world. Dark, cold, bleak, and nothing for miles. While it may not seem objectively scary, the harsh reality of Antarctica is desolate and full of bodies. Because even with all of our technology and what we know of the dangers of Antarctica, let alone any other frozen climate, it can remain deadly for anyone who goes there even with the perfect plan and preparedness. On the inland alone, temperatures can plummet to nearly negative 130 Fahrenheit, and in some places, wind can reach 200 miles per hour. As a result of many expeditions, scientists and explorers have perished here. Their bodies remain and are often beyond retrieval, buried so deep into ice sheets or crevices that they'll never emerge, or out at sea within glaciers and the calving ice. The oldest bones discovered in Antarctica are reportedly from 1918, and they were discovered in the 1980s. Chilean researchers found that they belonged to a woman who died when she was about 21 years old. She was an indigenous person from southern Chile, which is 620 miles away from Antarctica, and there's no explanation how they got there. Number 6 is another triangle, the Michigan Triangle. Lake Superior and the Great Lakes are known for having many disappearances in, around, and over them. It's safe to say that they're a hot spot for the vanished, and much of that is due to the stories of gold, oil, or just nature lovers traveling out onto the land. Lake Michigan has a triangle formation that extends between the state of Michigan and its neighbor, Wisconsin, and it's gained a reputation for disappearances. One of the most famous was in 1950 when the Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 flew over the area and just never emerged from it. All 58 passengers and crew vanished without a trace. The vast majority of the eerie situations that people reference from Lake Michigan Triangle have occurred between 1850 and 1950, with a few more modern incidents to consider. However, the first reported happening took place in 1679 when a trade ship, Le Griffon, vanished from the Michigan waters. Another ship, the Thomas Hume, also disappeared in a similar fashion. Lake Michigan has taken as many as 6 ships documented, but the most peculiar story actually isn't even a death, though rather a Michigan college student who went missing near the lake while cross-country skiing, only to be found a year later 700 miles away with no memory of the event or his previous life. Number 5 5 is more water. It's the Sargasso Sea. Ghost ship time. I know you guys are waiting for one of those. Part of the Atlantic Ocean, Sargasso is a pathway for the famous Mary Celeste ghost ship, which was found empty and floating in 1872. Another ship came across the Mary and tried to signal to communicate with the ship, but got no response. As they drew closer, it became evident that something is wrong, as the sails of the ship were torn to shreds and the ship's compass was broken, and on the sides, someone had made a danger sign with an axe. Mary Celeste had actually left a week earlier than the ship that had found her, and its captain, David Morehouse, had known the captain of the Celeste personally. So his crew made the decision to board, and they found no soul on her. At the same time, the cargo, which was valuable liquor that was being transported on the ship, also was untouched, as was the cabins and the deck. Whatever happened though, it wasn't the first or last time. Sargasso's known for having empty adrift boats. Another in 1840, the French merchant ship Rosalie, was discovered with its sails set, but without any crew members on board. Other ships include the American schooner Ellen Austin and the Connemara. Number 4, you guessed it, another triangle. The Pecos Triangle. Now, this is another land one, this time located in San Miguel County in New Mexico. Pecos is a village just outside of Santa Fe and in the dead center of some of the state's most scenic and popular terrain. The Santa Fe National Forest, paired with Pecos' expansive wilderness, has made itself known for something other than nature: disappearances. This region is popular for fishing, hiking, and camping, but it seems that many of these weekend excursions and outdoor adventures are destined for a one-way trip, as there's been a documented 5 disappearances, but countless are presumed to be lost in this area. Emma Tresps, Audrey Kaplan, and Melvin Nadell are all well-known examples. Melvin, 61, was a fit gym owner who disappeared in 2009 while out camping with friends. His Jeep was found parked by their site, but Mel was never found. 10 years his senior, Emma Treps, vanished in 1998 on a trip to a monastery that she had done several times. She was confident and knew the area, but she too vanished with only her vehicle to be found. It's also worth noting that the Pecos area is often location of UFO reports, as well as sightings of mysterious dancing lights in the woods and sudden flashes of brilliant light that seems to have no obvious cause. It's easy to see that this is not an area to explore in, as disappearances are not during a particular hour, age, gender, day, season. There's nothing. Lines are off. Number 3 is our last triangle, I promise. It's Lop Nur. It's Asia's Devil Triangle. Lop Nur has a few nicknames even aside from that one, another being the Wandering Sea. Why? Because it's believed that Lake Lop Nur shifted location north and south over a cycle of 1500 years. It's a former saline lake and now a salt-encrusted lake bed. It lies within the Tarim Basin and was the second largest inland lake in China and an important station on the Silk Road. In the latter half of the 19th century, the Lop Desert attracted many of the world's great explorers seeking to discover more about this vast geographic blank spot on the map. Solving the mystery of where the lake would be located would be a significant geographic discovery, and of course, many perished in their attempt before it was found. Lop Nur is known as a dangerous area for its strong winds, dry weather, hot temperatures during the day, and extremely low temperatures during the night. Many have lost their lives to avalanches of sand or sandstorms. In 1980, China's most beloved adventurer Peng Xiaomu vanished while revisiting Lop Nur. He had left a note saying he was going to go find some water, but Peng was never seen again and seemingly had vanished from camp. The Chinese government launched a massive search of the desert looking for him, but there was no sign of him ever found. According to those familiar with the dangers of Lop Nur, the famed biologist was most likely buried alive by a freak sandstorm or crushed in an avalanche of loose soil. As many as 6 skeletons have been recovered from Lop Nur since his disappearance, but none of them have been identified as Peng. Number 2 is spooky and scary for sure. It's Hoia Baciu. I've actually gotten to see this forest in person, and even from the passenger seat of a car, you can feel something just isn't right. Fenced off, this is considered the world's most haunted forest, and it's located in Romania. Hundreds of disappearances have occurred alongside ghost sightings, UFO appearances, and bizarre sounds, smells, and winds coming from these woods. What makes this forest so dangerous for explorers is how undocumented it is. No one has truly gone deep into these woods and studied the land and environment. No full or detailed map exists of Baciu, so when it comes time for a search and rescue, the government and police forces will only go so far into the woods before it becomes too dangerous of losing more people. Romania already doesn't have the best cell and phone signal, and in some rural areas there's none at all, so even a walkie-talkie is capable of losing connection. Those who have passed through the forest without being zapped into another realm have reported rashes, nausea, and feelings of anxiety. Due to the sheer amount of locals, tourists, and explorers having gone missing over the decades, the Romanian government has made the decision to close off much of this forest from public access to prevent more loss of life. Some ghost hunting TV shows have earned special access, however. Guys, I'm a liar because number 1 is actually technically our final triangle. It's the Alaskan Triangle. I just wanted to trick you. More people have disappeared in the Alaskan Triangle than anywhere else. This can be contributed, of course, to the sheer size of Alaska being twice the size of Texas. Naturally, Naturally, the landscape as we know is inhospitable, and very few people actually inhabit the region. The interest in the Alaskan Triangle began when House Majority Leader Hale Boggs' private craft seemingly vanished into thin air while flying over top. It caused the nation's largest search and rescue mission, but showed up nothing, even with 50 civilian planes and 40 military crafts coming in high and low. It's almost understandable, as it is a vast expanse of forest, mountain, lakes, and blank ice terrain. While it's not a surprise it'd be easy for people to go missing in the environment, what's shocking though is the amount of people. As previously stated, more people go missing here than anywhere else, usually without a shred of evidence and no body ever found. You ready for this? More than 16,000 people, including airline passengers and hikers, locals, and tourists, have disappeared within the Alaskan Triangle since 1988. The rate per 1,000 people is more than twice the national missing persons average, and the rate of people who are never found is even higher. It's no debate that the numbers imply something else is happening here than merely getting lost in the mountains, but yet explorers still plunge themselves deep into the Alaskan wilderness in search of rumored treasure or historic artifacts. Well, it was great seeing you guys again. I hope everyone enjoyed. Like and subscribe to see more from us, and comment down below what you think the scariest place to go missing could be.